Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Now I know I've waited a long time on this video, but I figured I'd wait till the dust settled and more specifics were known. Plus I like to be thorough and that takes time. But in this video we'll discuss the Xbox Series X versus the PS5, and if Sony is actually risking failure. First we need to look at the system specs of each of the respective systems, to make sure everybody's on the same page, and we'll compare the Xbox Series X to the PlayStation 5. I'll talk about Sony's risky move here in a moment, toward the end of the video. And it brings up some interesting points, so you want to stay till the end. But before we dive in, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell for future Axial GT content. I cover all things gaming. With that, let's begin. Now most of us have seen this image, thanks to a user on Reddit. It'll make our job a little easier to understand. But I would like to dispel something. Now I keep hearing the phrase, they were just like a PC. And that is kind of a misnomer, because that is not a new statement. Because so was the last generation. Both the Xbox One and PS4 used an AMD architecture named Jaguar. So the media that keeps pressing that point that they're just like a PC, and using that as their clickbait headline, can stop. We are not stupid. Now both the Xbox Series X and the PS5 use a custom AMD Zen 2 CPU. And they're kind of equal to the 3000 line of AMD's processors, and more specifically to the 3700X to put this in gaming PC terms. Now this is just a generalization. Comparing a console to a PC is actually an apples to oranges comparison, given these are custom console chips that AMD has manufactured and designed. But to give you a general idea, it does work just fine. Both these console CPUs are 8-core 16-thread chips, with the Xbox Series X clocked at 3.8 GHz and with 3.6 with SMT turned on. Which just means hyper-threading. SMT is just the AMD version of it. With SMT turned off, it's just 8 cores, 8 threads. The PS5, on the other hand, is clocked at 3.5 GHz with SMT. So the victor is, well, neither. It's actually too close to call. Yes, Microsoft has the edge on paper, but you'll probably never see a difference in the real world. Now the GPU, on the other hand, is a different story. The Xbox Series X and the PS5 use custom RDNA 2 architectures, but the Series X uses 52 CUs at 1.8 GHz, giving you 12.15 teraflop, and the PS5 uses 36 CUs, running up to 2.23 GHz, giving you 10.28 teraflops. Now Sony decided to go with less CUs at a faster speed, and Microsoft decided to use a sledgehammer of a GPU and clock it at a lower speed. Now I will say, given the teraflop differential, the Xbox Series X wins this round. Both use 16 GB of DDR6 memory, just using different size buses. Now for those who don't know what buses are, and no, I'm not talking about these, think of them as lanes on a freeway. 320 lanes of traffic moving information on the Series X, and 256 lanes on the PS5. Now when we talk storage, the PS5 runs at unheard of speeds, especially compared to the last console generation. 5.5 GB a second with a compressed speed of 8 to 9 GB a second. And that is huge. On PC, with using PCIe Gen 4, you get 5 GB a second. Microsoft pulls off a more easily realized 2.4 GB a second with a compressed rate of 4.8 GB a second. So the PS5 easily wins the storage war, especially since when it comes to storage expansion, Microsoft decided to go with a proprietary solution. Now I'm not a fan of Microsoft's choice, since it means they have us over a barrel when it comes to the price of this little gadget. So with all these specs in mind, on paper, Xbox Series X comes out on top. It is the more powerful console, but in the end, it probably won't matter much. Developers usually develop games according to the lowest common denominator, and that would be the PS5. So you won't see any drastic performance boosts choosing one over the other, at least in the beginning, and I'd say that's relative. Let's say the next 3 to 4 years, after these next-gen consoles release. After that, you might see Microsoft pull away with a slight increase in FPS and maybe a little bit better textures. Now that's just speculation on my part, but again, in the end, I still don't think people would notice a difference. Now we'll get to the issue that may arise for the PS5 and how it may become an issue, and that's the recent patent they filed. Now I know this is old news to some, but it brings up an interesting discussion, and I'll show you an example on how this is to be implemented as to the way the patent reads. Sony's new patent reads, it will point players to microtransactions with an in-game resource surfacing platform. This mechanic, when implemented, will suggest tips, strategies, and purchasable items based on their situation in the game. And I really want to stress the purchasable items based on their situation in the game. That speaks volumes. Now just to be upfront, it is no secret I do not like microtransactions. And I'm not talking about the cosmetic kind. I'm talking about the others. Because it leverages pay-to-win mechanics, plus causes content to be cut from a game only to sell it to us later, and is very easily abused, as companies use it to manipulate gamers into buying their crap. And like I said earlier, not all microtransactions are bad. I really don't care if they are left as as cosmetic only, because that would be an optional purchase. But needless to say, I've railed against companies for years for their lying and deceitful ways. Like in 2017 when Activision Blizzard filed their patent on PvP matchmaking as a way to screw over their players and manipulate them into purchasing microtransactions. Or Bethesda cutting content from Fallout 76 to sell it to us later. And as a side note, Pete Hines gave an interview recently saying that things changed when it came to his lying about cosmetic only items in the game. It hurt his feelings when people accused him of lying. Poor guy. I feel so sorry for him. I've always found the easiest way not to be accused of lying is, gosh, I don't know. Well, how about not lie?
Well, duh.
That's a novel idea. I paid $80 for the shit-broken game anyway, so he has none of my sympathy. But anyway, back to the topic at hand. Now this patent is a game changer. It's not in the code for the game itself, it's hardwired into the console. And I'll give you an example. Now let's say you're playing God of War. This is the game they use as an example in the patent. And let's say you die a few times in a certain section, stating that 78% of players did this to pass this section, giving you a tip. That doesn't sound too nefarious, but that isn't the only way this patent works. But it could also say 78% of players use this health potion to pass this section. Buy one now. That'd be severe manipulation in my opinion. Sony would be cashing in on someone's frustration, and some people are more impulsive during those frustrating times. It's basic psychology. Having this mechanic made into the PlayStation 5 in my opinion is dangerous. Now will it have it at launch? Well, it could. I do extremely doubt it. But remember, will only be one automatic update from this being implemented. Now, I'm not saying don't buy a PlayStation 5. So what do you guys think? Do you think this patent could be a problem? Well, it's no means a death blow. I just find it concerning they have this patent. I'm making this video to give the player a heads up, to make an informed decision, and what might be on the way. Patents are expensive to file. A company has no reason to pursue one if they never plan on implementing it. But I hope you found the video informative. Please like and subscribe, and hit the bell for future Axial GT content. I do appreciate you watching. Until next time, I'm out of here. Stay safe, and have a good one.